Welcome to How to Have Real Confidence and Natural Authority for More Prosperity. And when we say prosperity, we mean wealth, health, love, spirituality, all the good stuff. Hey, JM, good to see you. Hi, Mark. Hi, Afsana. It's cool to see so many people here. So let's get started. We've got so much to share, and I'm really excited about this training. And so I'd love to get just a nugget from you. If you would share, where do you live and what do you do in life? Are you an entrepreneur? Do you have a job? Are you mom, dad? Like, what is going on so that we can dial what real confidence and natural authority is going to mean for you? And this is going to be a really deep dive, so I'm excited to get to know everyone here. Hi, Katie from Oakland. Hey, Janine from Texas. Hi, Monica from San Diego. Good to see you, sweetie. How are you? Beth, retired. Nice. What do you do with your time, Beth? Do you read? Do you study? You're here on this amazing immersion. I love that. Anybody else want to share? And don't be shy. Caretaker for my parents and realtor. Oh, that's so cool. We have quite a few realtors that we work with. And another realtor, amazing. Writer in my heart, of course. Naples, Florida. We know that, right, Karen? JM, Greater Seattle area, marketing. That is amazing. Disabled. Sorry to hear that, Rhonda, but like you're here. What do you love to think about, do, ponder? Annette, hello, my gorgeous Sue, Toronto, Canada. Retired from full-time career, now leading yoga part-time. I love it. I used to have a yoga studio. Body worker, an artist. Amazing, Katie. Kristen, St. Louis, Missouri. Beautiful. Deb, VA, business owner, energy medicine. Well, you're going to love this. All right. We've got a great group. I love that you love to learn. Astrid, OC, California, learning to write. Shelly, learning calligraphy and starting a new creative business. So cool. Well, everyone, you're here. We're going to create some magic. We have some cool things to cover. Hi, Vanya, Chicago, unemployed. If you want to be unemployed, great. If you want to change it, we've got a formula to do that. So let's touch on the agenda because we do have some really important teachings and tools to share with you. And I want to help you navigate so you get the most out of it. This is an immersion. It's a deep dive. And I'm going to prep by going through some of the context, give you a little overview of the state of the world. And then we're going to look at phase 1, handle the ego, which is really important. Phase 2, what is natural authority? This might be a new term for some of you. It's really important. It's about basically, you know thyself. And then phase 3, real and unbreakable confidence. And phase 4 will be a subconscious reset, which you'll be able to use to reset brain, subconscious, and body. And I wanted to give you a recipe, right, to get the most out of today, because it is a deep dive and we have a lot to cover. And if you don't have a context and plan, it'll feel like another information gathering summit. But here at Illumination Academy, we work on taking clear and concise action for true change. Because as my teacher in India once said to me, pulled me aside, and he's like, look, action is the insignia of life. But most people hit an edge that is tied into their identity. So they stop. And that's what we're working on today, how you can shift your current identity to create a new external reality. So this is not just about taking notes. It's about integration. It's about chatting us up. It's about letting us know what is working for you, where you feel stuck, what you need. So our goal today is really, in this short amount of time together, to help you get clear on the biggest impact of, maybe it's relationships you're focusing on. Anybody here looking at, I really want to shift relationships in my life? Or is it a business that you're building or a business that you're already successful? Or is it a career? We work with so many different kinds of people that are able to really create deep connection and relationships, maybe feel that peace and self-love in their own being. And when you do that, your career, your business, everything changes in a magical way. So we want you to get extreme clarity on when your confidence collapses and what to do about it. Rewire your brain, body, and beliefs so they all match the prosperity that you desire. Develop unbreakable confidence frame so that you are all the most composed person in the room, and access your true potential so that you turn the dial up of prosperity in all ways. And this is not, everyone, this is not just a motivational session. I want you to think about this as a full system upgrade. Like your operating system is going to get an upgrade if you allow it to happen. Because real confidence and natural authority is the type of energy that moves entire rooms. It's the kind of energy that makes people desire to know you and follow your lead before you even speak. So it's you walking away with a confidence frame that's deeply aligned, never postures, never collapses, and you have a sense of ownership over yourself. Does this make sense, everyone? You cannot, this is not a marketing ploy. This is not some AI stuff. This is you, your full potential, your truth. And this internal work is what changes everything externally. So if you're in for the ride, put a Y in the text chat, drink plenty of water, jot down notes, and what I need from you, give yourself permission. Throughout this immersion, give yourself permission to let go of the old identity. Because real self-confidence and natural authority are never given to you by someone else. I need you to take action. Knowledge can slow you down if you don't implement. It's just another, oh, wow, I feel so good. I went to this webinar, this workshop, or this immersion. Implement, and we'll give you a way to do that. Just knowledge can give you a sense of false security when it's not integrated into action. And most importantly, enjoy the process. Because I'll share something with you. Absence of evidence does not mean evidence of absence. What you desire, which is what we go through in our prosperity code coaching methodology, we help people go through 5 steps. Inquire, what do you want? And you might not even know truly, or you might have been afraid to say. Then we identify what's in the way. Then we clear it for people, and then we activate with the universal law and awaken to a new way of being, doing, and having, because it is being first. You can't do to have. You've got to be to do to have. Does this make sense, everyone? And whether we're working with ancient teachings, modern neuroscience, deep metaphysical energy clearings like I just did for some of you in the Ashram and Prosperity Code, this allows your state to shift, your being to elevate. So if it's a new relationship you want, you can attract it. If it's doubling your income, you have the energy to attract it. If it's a promotion at your job, you're set to attract it. In our own model, where we look at vision, identity, confidence, so that you can manifest, navigate, and elevate into self-mastery, today, we're really only looking at confidence. And we're going to do that through mind, body, belief. But it is going to help you understand that your identity, your current identity, will shift when you give it permission. But it won't shift if you don't give it permission. It won't shift if you don't have the confidence. And we can't create a new reality with the same identity. I go into this extensively because because of this thing, your brain, which we'll dive into more, it's like the old identity wants to hang on because of cognitive dissonance. I'm here to say it is safe to let go. So, everyone, why confidence and authority? Well, as the famous Wayne Dyer said, and he was a smart man, if you believe it will work out, you'll see opportunities. If you believe it won't, you will see obstacles. So breathe that in. Drink some water. Raise your arms up and stretch. Open up to receive. And look, I'm going to do something different here. I haven't done this before on these immersions. And the reason I want to do it is I was talking to a client, really successful the other day. And he said to me, it's so rare that we find someone who is willing to do the internal work to create the external success. Like it's a rarity. Yet when they do it, the gain, the success is exponential. And so I want you to think about something. When we look at confidence, when we look at natural authority, watch any boardroom, watch any stage. We're engrossed in the Olympics right now, right? Examine any high stakes moment long enough and you'll see it. You'll see the wrong person winning. It's not because they're better. It's because at that moment, they're louder, they're more willing to fake it, they're more comfortable taking up space they haven't earned. But this cannot stand and it's not sustainable. In a perfect world, everyone, the best idea would win. And the most talented person would come out on the top. And the most diligent and hardworking people would get the golden opportunities. But that's not how it works. At times, it feels like the loudest person steals the attention. It feels like the most self-absorbed and self-aggrandizing person gets the opportunities. And this is why people will bluster to create confidence. They'll hand over their authority to figureheads to just get approval. But this cannot stand, it's not sustainable. So breathe in with me here because this is kind of the shocking truth. Real confidence, the kind that settles in every cell of your body, is something very different than what you've been taught, demonstrating, or the posturing that you see everywhere in the world, whether it's some influencer on YouTube or Instagram or whatever. And real confidence is what makes all the difference. So why is real confidence so important? It's a much bigger deal than you think, because it's not just about how you feel in the moment. It isn't just your self-esteem. It's one of the underlying foundations that influences every single decision you make and how you show up in every situation, especially when the stakes are high, when it feels important. As a professional flute player for years and years and years, when I was taking auditions, that as a professional flute player, when I was taking auditions, which meant traveling to different cities, playing round after round in front of a screen, we'd get down to the finals. So the final round maybe was like round 5 or 6 or 7. It was a grueling, exhausting day. And there would be 2 or 3 of us in the finals for this one position. And it wasn't a matter of whether or not we performed at the level, because anybody in the final round was at a high level. What mattered was who had the best day, who held it together, who had the authority over their own being and the confidence, that was the person that won the job. So it was high stakes. You're talking a career, salaries, visibility. And I've known plenty of players who were plenty talented, but just never, ever had the best day when it mattered. So they did great in the practice room, but they couldn't walk on stage and win an audition. So they never had the chance to realize their full potential. And so when we're watching, anybody here watching the Olympics, put a Y in the text chat if you're watching the Olympics. Some of these competitions come down to a few hundredths of a second. The pressure to perform is huge. And it's tiny moments that make all the difference. So when a person's confidence drifts, even for a split second, one turn, one tiny movement, it costs them a medal. Or when it comes crashing in, if anybody saw, we were analyzing this earlier today on one of our calls, Ilya Malinin, amazing, right? They call him the quad god. He was set to win. The whole arena was packed. And it fell apart for him at his biggest moment. And right after, he shared candidly, I think I was too confident. What he was saying was I postured. He didn't have the knowing. And in a follow-up interview, this is really important. He shared at that moment, when he first fell, it's like every dark and traumatic experience, even only at the age of 21, came into his mind and his being. So all of his insecurities and worst fears came flooding in. It was shocking to watch, but these are the people with the teams of coaches around them who recognize the critical role of their inner game, even when they struggle. So you might be thinking, all right, I'm not on stage in the world. It's not that important. I'm not a performer. I'm not an athlete. Maybe you are. And it would feel great to maybe feel better about yourself or to have some more confidence, but is it really going to make or break your career, your business, your relationships? Is it going to make a difference in your income? Absolutely. I know this with every particle of my being because I've lived it again and again. And the mechanism is more simple than you think. It's more fixable than you think. And that's why you're here, because the cost of shaky confidence, it's like it's not a race, everyone, that's over in 60 seconds. It's like the small decisions you make every day don't just build up over time, they compound. And it's not just about blowing an interview or a presentation. Look, I just started hacking on this one. It's how you recover, right? It's what you decide you know and believe in, and what you can share can add up to increase your business and thousands of dollars, add zeros monthly, give you promotions or deep, deep connected relationships. So not having that knowing, that certainty, not having the unshakable calm, it costs in how people see you. It shaves your reputation. It'll cost in dollars because other people get chances that should have been yours. Most importantly, it'll cost in your self-esteem, knowing that you're capable of more. It costs you the life you could be living if you could just get out of your own way. When you stretch that over years and decades, the cost is extraordinary. And this is the reason so many people struggle with confidence, because they don't understand what it really is. So they go about solving it in the wrong ways. Let me know if this is landing. And as you do, just put a Y in the text chat if it is. If you're tracking with me, I'm going to bring up one of our amazing coaches, the human behind the scenes at Illumination Academy, Nick Hansinger. And he's going to help you understand this integral part of what the confidence myth is. So, Nick, let's bring you up. I'm going to give you the stage. You take it away.
All right.
I can't wait for you to hear how Nick is going to break down these myths and confidence. And I'm going to mute myself and cough for a moment.
Keep on that cough drop there. I'm really excited to share about this. Confidence is, and the fact that all of you are here, just by the way, is really extraordinary. This is not a topic that gets really any kind of analysis. I think like they're always just like, be more confident, be more, and it's like, well, how, or what's really going on inside here. It happens kind of behind closed doors. Kisma mentioned her experiences through the audition circuit, and I'm a musician myself. And honestly, the reason that this is such an important topic to me is because in my music career, this is really the one thing that really held me back. I was one of those people, it's not for lack of talent or anything like that. It was more crumbling in key moments, and it added up so much. And when I really got into personal development, this was something that I just thought was so important because it's such a game changer in any way. But the way that it's usually taught, the way that it's shared with people, you get these myths, right? So I'm going to go through 3 myths that I've run into that are, they skew the whole conversation, and they send people down the wrong path time and time again. Confidence myth number 1, if I tell myself the right story enough times, eventually I'll believe it. Fake it till you make it. Something along those lines. Now look, affirmations work. They work in a moment, and they create a quick and temporary shift. And I don't know about you, but I love a quick fix. But the truth about this is that there is no amount of words that are going to suddenly change your self-image. And there's no story that you can tell yourself that's going to change the mind of your inner critic who has seen you fail countless times, right? Your inner critic is the one who's been there all along, watching at the sidelines and taking note of every time that you've screwed it up. It builds that evidence to keep you safe. And no story is going to resolve that inner conflict about who you believe yourself to be deep down. So years and years of running these same patterns, they're not just programmed into your brain, they're programmed into your nervous system. And your nervous system responds to these things in very specific ways for very specific reasons. And until that changes, you can't talk yourself into being more confident, because a deep part of you will always know that it's a lie, or at least partially a lie. There's always that part of you that sees more, right? And sees it for what it is. It's like, oh, well, yeah, sure. Okay. And I've seen this backstage, speaking on stages, people backstage talking themselves up, and you can see that it works to help to get them into a state. But that state, the reason that they have to do it is because that state is not sustainable for them. So there's all this effort and this trying to talk yourself in and tell yourself the right story so that you can perform. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to perform my whole life. I want to drop in as I really am, be who I am, and to do it with a sense of confidence and authority over myself, right? So that's confidence myth number 1. The second myth is a sneaky one. It says, if I just knew more, I'd be more confident. My friends, this is where dreams go to die. This is the coach who has every certification and no clients. It is the entrepreneur who has been almost ready to launch for 3 years or more. And this is the executive who second guesses every decision because getting it wrong feels like proof that they were never qualified in the first place, right? Like that imposter syndrome is just proof for the imposter syndrome. So thinking that if you just knew more or had a better understanding, you'll feel more confident in yourself, right? That's how the thinking goes, but it's based on a false understanding of what confidence really is. The lie that's being told is that if I just know all the answers and get it right enough times, then I'll pass the test. Does that sound familiar? It ought to, because that's the way most of us were taught in school. That training, right? That's over a decade's worth of training that all of us received that taught us that if you just get enough right answers, you'll be okay. And that is not at all how the world works. And none of that really addresses the underlying problem. So let's talk for a second. Who here is familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect? This is an incredibly important thing to understand. If you've never heard of it before, I'm going to break it down real briefly. But if you've heard of it, just chime in the chat there and let me know if you're familiar with the Dunning-Kruger effect. All right. So not so much. This is really important to understand. The Dunning-Kruger effect, it's a study that was done, and what it revealed is that the more knowledge that a person has on a subject, the more that the person realizes how much they don't know, which erodes their confidence. The inverse of that, the less experience that you have doing something, the more confident you are in your ability. Now, I'm almost embarrassed to tell you that about this. There was a survey that was done not too long ago. They surveyed 50 American men. As a man, I'm a little embarrassed by this, to be honest. They surveyed 50 they surveyed American men, and 50% of these guys believed that they could safely land a commercial airline in an emergency. We think about the massive gap there between knowledge and confidence. Like the reality of that situation. Like, I'll bet all of you know people who have absolutely no business being as confident as they are. But what that confidence does is allow them to take chances that you won't, to speak up when you wouldn't or you couldn't. This is an incredible tragedy. This is why the best ideas don't win and the best people get passed over. Who here has been that best person that's gotten passed over? Now, what's worse about this situation is that over the years, you become more and more disappointed in yourself for falling short, and more frustrated at seeing less talented people get opportunities that should have been yours, and more shame around all the time and effort and resources that you've put into your growth without the results to show for it. These are hidden things. They hang out in the corners, but I can tell you from the number of quite successful people that we've worked with inside of Illumination Academy, that shame piece, that feeling like I should have figured this out by now or I should know better, is huge. And it's not for lack of information. So let's move on to myth number 3 here. Myth number 3 is similar, but it has this really distinct character to it. It says, if I can just get it right enough times, I'll be confident in myself. This is the house of cards. And I'll tell you exactly why. Look, the upside of this kind of misunderstanding is that it's action-oriented, right? Nobody who has this one or falls into this trap is a lazy person sitting on the couch who's never really looked at themselves, right? These are people who are doing the things. So they practice, they refine their skills like endlessly. And the problem with this is that it all falls apart. It all falls apart with a few wrong moves or bad decisions. It's one life circumstance away from completely ripping your competence to the ground. And it's an incredibly ineffective way to deal with uncertainty. The false belief is that preparation will make you confident, and it doesn't. It does. Like, it works for a minute, it makes you feel confident, but then it doesn't. Right? If you watched the Olympics and saw Ilya fall, like, who here thinks that he just wasn't prepared enough, or that he didn't try hard enough? You'd be a fool to think that. Look, uncertainty is part of life. As somebody mentioned that, oh, it was the ice. There was something off with the ice. Well, probably, quite possibly. But that uncertainty and how you meet that is what makes the difference. Uncertainty is part of life, and we have to learn how to deal with it. Human beings in the world that we've built are inherently unpredictable. So when you base your confidence in your self-esteem on getting it right every time, having the right answers, knowing the things, then all of your hard work goes down the tubes when you get it wrong or things don't go the way that you imagined. I saw it with musicians all the time. Kisma was on the stage with a major orchestra. She kind of downplays how big of a deal that job was, and how much bigger of a deal it was that she left that job to go open a yoga studio and pursue personal development. Like, nobody does that. I was the person behind the scenes, and I saw time and time and time again when one bad performance would send a person into a shame spiral, sometimes for months. I've seen it with top business executives that we've worked with here. They blow a key presentation or they collapse. Now, what's interesting about that one, they double down. They double down on their effort. They just got to try harder, right? That's what we were taught, hard work. And if they tried a little bit harder, then they'll get it right next time, right? But they do that, and then they burn out. They burn out because it's not sustainable. Now, when you look at the military, they're constantly dealing with some kind of uncertainty. And in the military, it's a life or death kind of situation, right? If they crumble under the pressure, that's life or death. So how they work around this is they have a saying. They say that no plan survives first contact with the enemy. Interesting, right? It's an understanding that's literally built into their training. It makes them very comfortable with uncertainty, and they have an expectation of it. But there is a pretty significant downside to that, because it keeps them alive on the battlefield. But when they carry this into their everyday life, they form this belief that something is always going to go wrong. So they're always waiting for the other shoe to drop, which is really just a trauma response. It's perfectly understandable, but it's also horribly stressful and counterproductive in everyday life. But the fact of the matter is that you don't have to go through military training to adopt that belief. There's a ton of people out there who expect the worst. They do it to keep themselves safe in uncertain times. And then it acts like a self-fulfilling prophecy. It creates more problems and stress in their lives, even when things aren't going well. They don't know how to relax. Maybe you're that person. I'll bet you know somebody like that at the very least. They're either always waiting for the other shoe to drop, or they just have no idea how to relax in their lives. The thing that nobody tells you about confidence is that it's not just psychological, it's also neurological. Your nervous system has been running the same program for decades, like fight, flight, freeze, fawn. It's based on outdated threat assessments from when you were forming your identity. That's why talking yourself into confidence just feels like lying. Part of you, the part that is keeping you alive, doesn't actually believe it. It's also why you can't think your way out of it either. The parts of you working to keep you safe from threats, those parts are just as smart as the parts of you that want to take some risks and create the life that you really want. You can't outsmart it. And you can't work your way out of it either. Right? People who try this approach, they burn out again and again and again. Real confidence isn't built, it is installed. It is like an operating system upgrade, and it changes how you process uncertainty at a cellular level. Once you understand how to do this, that's when everything changes. Is stressful situations, they don't hijack your life anymore. Difficult conversations can be met with strength, with understanding, like instead of that posturing. Procrastination ends because you feel confident always stepping into your next right action. Positive action, that's your default. And you no longer face uncertainty with fear, you face it with curiosity and with a measure of optimism. And that changes everything. Everything about our lives.
Nick, can I jump in here for a second? And
Yeah.
keep your camera on, because in case I have to start hacking, we've got Nick here. But everything he's talking about, it flashes me back as a performer. I remember my first mistake. It was in the 6th grade band. I'll never forget it. I had a solo and I played it like a G natural instead of a G sharp. It was like crushing. So I never forgot it, but I was like, this isn't going to happen again. Now I can also share that when I have met and talked with the best performers, I mean, we're talking about Midori or Yo-Yo Ma or whoever it is, the difference in their confidence level and remember when we say natural authority, it's like knowing who they are. They know that when they make a mistake, they move on. So I was actually in orchestra once performing with Midori. And if you remember her, she was an amazing child prodigy and then had a beautiful ongoing career. And I was in Savannah Symphony and she came down to perform the Stravinsky violin concerto because she was going to perform it in Pittsburgh like 2 weeks later. So when I was in Savannah before I went to Hong Kong, it was a smaller orchestra. And big soloists would be like, oh, I'm going to test it out, right? And then they go play it for the bigwigs. Second movement, Stravinsky violin concerto. She's playing by memory. At the ending, it's a flute duet. I'm playing principal. Somebody's playing second. And she's like doing her thing and she has a memory slip. And she's just like holding the note. And we continue to just play the duet. Because honestly, the audience doesn't know the Stravinsky violin concerto. The idiot conductor, I can say that now, he starts shaking his head at us. Like, what, you want us to just stop? Because he freaked out. Midori's just like, I'm just going to hold this note and you gals take it away. It was such a juxtaposition of, here's Midori, this happens, keep playing, girls. And the conductor, who was like not so bright, and freaking out, shaking his head. Do you think the audience all of a sudden had a clue? Silly, right? But afterwards, here was the moment that I'll never forget. She came up to me backstage. She's like, sorry, my fault. And I was like, you were amazing. Like, don't apologize to me. Like, you're Midori, you're amazing. And it just showed that ability to go forward because she knows herself. So whether you're performing, whether you're in a relationship, whether you're doing whatever in life, you're seeking something, you have to know yourself so that you can keep going. And this is why we talk about the confidence paradox. And the truth is, with the confidence paradox, the more you try to be confident, like try, the more you signal to your nervous system that there's a threat, right? Remember, it's not just physiological, it's not just mental, psychological, it is neurological. So your nervous system doesn't care about your career goals. I say this a lot. Your brain, your nervous system, your subconscious mind doesn't care if you're successful. It cares if you're what? Safe. So it cares about keeping you alive based on ancient survival programming. Every time you fake it to make it, your body registers this incongruence, and then it raises an alarm. So the real issue isn't lack of confidence, it's this nervous system dysregulation, masquerading as a confidence problem. You don't have a confidence problem. You have a not knowing yourself problem. You have a nervous system, a subconscious mind, a brain that's an expectation engine doing a brilliant job at keeping you safe. But it's operating on an old identity. So it's outdated. Until you upgrade your operating system, no amount of mindset work or skill building will stick. So is this landing, everyone? It's really important to know. And my question to you is, how long have you known that you have a full potential you're not accessing? I get that from client calls who start with me. They're like, I know I'm nowhere near my full potential. How long have you known that you've been meant for more? That we can't keep waiting for others to see us. There are countless impacts you're ready to make, and that you're ready to take more action. Because what prevents us from turning a dream into reality is that action is the insignia of life. Action is the one thing that turns wishes into reality. But when you're operating on an old identity, when you're saying the same thing as an excuse, you'll hit a terror barrier and you won't take the action that you need. So it's an identity shift that is so important. I mean, this is how we got here, right? In our Illumination Academy, we've generated multi-millions of dollars over the years. We help entrepreneurs, founders, CEOs, HR executives, construction management teams, doctors, lawyers, moms and dads. And here's the one thing they will all share with me is they'll call me and say, Kisma, things are going well. People, my friends, my family see me as successful, but I wake up in the middle of the night and I wonder if I can keep it going. Is my world going to come crashing down? And then they'll say, my self-esteem's taking a hit. Anyone feel that way? I know I have. That was me when I was the musician. If only I knew then what I know now. But I left music because I wanted to help people in a different way. I wanted to do more. So the yoga led to Nick and me studying in India with Swami Parthasarathy. That's why we bring the ancient wisdom. Then I went on to study in the neurocognitive world. So I'm certified with applied behavior research, and I lead a high-level training called Avery. Some of my clients come and stay with us for 4 days as I take them through an Avery process. We do retreats, we do trainings. All of this, I want to say to you, as a classical musician, as the flutist that made the mistake in the 6th grade band, if I can do it, do you think that maybe you can? All it takes is if you get comfortable being uncomfortable. I want to take you through phase 1, which is that exact moment. Elia, the monobob person, us walking into a presentation and feeling like someone is misjudging us, whatever happens, it's the exact moment your confidence collapses. So there are certain events that trigger an ego threat. And I would jot that down, ego threat. The ego threat derails your focus, your energy, your authority to a point that it feels, even if you're presenting, let's say, I mean, some of you are in law enforcement. You walk into the office or you're with your team or you're out on a run, you're presenting really well. But internally, you feel the confidence collapse. So here's what's really happening. Your brain gets triggered and it interprets maybe visibility. Maybe it interprets a reaction from someone else as a threat. So you start running these outdated safety loops in your body. And then your beliefs are being filtered through old identity programs. So this is what we call the ego threat triangle. I learned this from NCI University. Shout out to them. And this is what is taught to Secret Service agents, law enforcement, etc. Because as Nick said, there are some people that can't afford to lose a smidgen of confidence or authority. And so I want you to hear this. I need you to hear this. It's never about the words or what is actually happening. It's about the brain and how your brain is reacting to an ego threat or ego danger. So this triangle is like a window into your insecurities and your fears. And the good news is, once you see this, you've revealed areas that as you increase in your awareness, you have better control over how you react. Does that make sense, everyone? Like it's an awareness principle. So let's look at the 3 core threats and we'll go through them bit by bit. Number 1 is identity. Your identity is like your self-concept, right? Your narrative of life, your social reputation, the significance that you feel you might present, an assumption of perception. Then there is safety. So safety is going to be your social inclusion, the status of safety, respect, hierarchy, insecurity, comparison, etc. Remember that every time you compare yourself to someone else, maybe it's social media, maybe it's at a party, you've handed them your authority. That actually threatens safety to a deep degree. And then there's control, the need to be right. Some of you are saying uncertainty is uncomfortable. That's just the need for control. And if there's a control deficit somewhere in your life, you feel powerless, and then you overcompensate in another area. So again, identity, this is who you think you are. You don't want it threatened. Significance is needed, and concept of self is often based on others' perception. So this identity threat to the ego is so severe. It's why I'll talk to someone who is really smart and I'll hear them repeat, "Oh, it's my story. Yeah, my wife left me. It's all her fault," or "I can never hold a relationship," or "my team will never see me." Like they just repeat the stories. I'm like, you're so smart. How are you doing this? Because it's an identity threat. Is this landing? And is anyone feeling this identity threat? You might hear yourself, like if it shows up for you, everyone, you might hear yourself saying, "That's not what I meant." Like you'll get defensive immediately. Or you'll say, "How dare you accuse me of that?" without even taking a breath. You'll get defensive, right? It'll either be saying something like this out loud or you'll be thinking it. Then, if we look at control, this is the need to have power over predictability. Your ego wants to decide what is next and often reacts when it feels out of control. So it's this need to feel like you have power at any moment in time. It's your ego wanting to decide, and control is like survival. And if it gets taken away and you don't have the self-awareness to be present, you feel the threat. It's like the mammalian brain goes on high alert, or your amygdala gets fired off. So you might feel yourself thinking or saying, "Don't tell me what to do. Like, I've got this," right? You'll want to go in and control a situation. Resonating with anyone? And then
It's
there's
important
safety.
for that
Yeah,
control
go
one,
ahead.
that's not just like the alpha male, who's
Right.
trying to control everybody. Like that shows up for different people in really different ways. Like I
Good
know
point.
plenty and have worked with plenty of women who have pretty significant control issues, and it expresses very differently, right?
Women often feel safe being in control. At least I can speak for myself. Then we go into safety. And this is the need to feel secure, to feel included, to feel the social safety mechanism, the tribal safety. And if threatened, so is your perceived belonging, social status, and position. And so this is where you can enter like a hierarchy disruption. And that is where we have a power imbalance. Like I'm losing something. Somebody's outclassing me. And if you're not in a strong confidence frame, it's an insecurity activation. Someone or something just reminded you that you're not enough. And this is a big silent killer. So you might have one side that gets threatened, but think about if there's two. If you have the threat of control and safety, it will create panic and the feeling that you can't do anything right. So listen up. This is so important, everyone. This is when you stop taking action on your dreams. You don't go for the promotion. You don't ask the person out. You don't go for more money because it feels different. And your ego's like, wow, it's not safe. I'm out of control. So you hit a terror barrier. Or if it's identity and safety, it puts you, as Nick said earlier, into a shame spiral. Nick, can you take a second and describe what a shame spiral does energetically?
Well, yeah. Actually, that's a really interesting question. I don't get to talk about this very often, but you can see it plain as day. Is shame is a very heavy energy. So it's almost like throwing a wet blanket over somebody's energy, like a cold, wet blanket. And what it's such a, people talk about higher vibration or lower vibration. Well, one of the things that doesn't get talked about much is density. And so it's such a thick, dense energy. What happens is everything starts to close in on the person. And so you might not be able to see that, but what it does is it closes off your perception, and it forces you into this sort of tunnel vision where the same kind of looping thoughts, the same things that you're playing over in your mind again and again and again, it feels extremely constrictive and very, very heavy. And physically, what that does over time is it doesn't allow your body the resources it needs to really heal and recover itself, but also to have the energy that you need to have the focus and attention that you need to follow your dreams and your goals, be really active in your life. So this time you'll see a lot of people with shame stuff that their energy is all over the map. There'll be times when they've set it aside enough that they can really move forward. And then you'll see other times where they just close in on themselves, and then they loop again and again and again around those same cycles.
That's so great. Thank you for that. Nick does all of our energy healing behind the scenes. And so if we look at a self-awareness, remember self-awareness, situational awareness is everything, like a diagnostic tool. When you feel the identity trigger, when you feel that ego threat, whether it's identity, safety, control, pause, recognize, here's just where you start, everyone. A shift took place. And it might be your brain is on fire, it's splitting in half, and you're like, I feel like crap right now. Just recognize it. Don't make it wrong. Then take a pause and be like, is this my identity, safety, or control being threatened? Whichever you hear first, trust. It might be two. If it's all three, you're in full panic mode and you really have to take a few breaths. But if it's a one or two, you're just going to rewrite the outcome. And all that means, I want you to try it now. Just take a breath. You might put your hand on your heart and just say, I am safe. I am in control. I know who I am. Like whichever of these statements resonates most. Obviously, I know who I am. Identity, right? I am safe, safety. I am in control, control. Even Harvard, thank you, Harvard, for catching up, is doing studies now where they're scanning the brain and they're showing the difference when people actually speak out loud positively to themselves. So be willing to rewrite the outcome because you can. But what? You need to give yourself permission. And here's 3 steps that are so important in your own healing of whether it's a shame spiral or an ego threat, whatever it is. Be radically self-forgiving. Be delusional in how you forgive yourself. As Swami Parthasarathi once said to us in our trips to India, the past is for learning. Number 2, decide on who you are. Decide on your own identity and keep redeciding. And number 3, stop trying to prove that you're right. You don't need to prove anything. This is something that our client, Lisa, God bless her, she just got back from the Vedanta Academy. Lisa's gone through our prosperity co-coaching method. She's in the ashram. She was head of public health in one of the states during the pandemic. It was very difficult. So her entire ego threat triangle was activated. Then she settled in. She changed how she believed about herself. She regulated. She went through the metaphysical energy clearings, the mindset stuff. She has her own consulting business where companies that really shunned her now hire her. And with that, I want to take a moment. There's 2 things we're going to do right now. I want to offer something to everyone because we're getting to the top of the hour and we have more. And, immersions are designed for 90 minutes, but I do want to share an opportunity that is so important. And then we're going to bring Jenna up so she can share how she sees some of our clients work through this. So we have put together something for you at Illumination Academy where you're able to book we call an implementation call. And so during these calls, there's going to be a couple things that happen. And all you have to do is click here. Team, please put the link in the text chat so people can click. And actually, I'm going to put up a QR code. So just hold up your phone, scan the QR code. It's going to go to a place where I think we have maybe 10, 12 calls open. So do it now. But on this call, we're going to look at 3 things for you. Really, what's happening in your level of confidence and natural authority? And then what area of your life is affected most? Is it your business or career? Is it your spiritual power is being diminished? Is it your relationships? Maybe your relationship to yourself or others. What area is being most affected? And then we're going to give you a formula so you have the clarity of being able to reset your confidence and reset your authority. Now, this is a really important opportunity because if you're thinking, well, I don't know if I need that, let me just share that when you work with us on one of these calls, it is a deep dive. And it is you being able to understand those pieces that you're plucking out constraints so that what is right in front of you in terms of opportunity can be revealed. And, I would say do it now, not because I'm trying to rush you, but because your brain will absolutely try to turn this into, cool, I'll decide later. So I'm just going to take about 10 seconds, have you click on that or have you scan this and go ahead and book the call. It just shows up as a calendar schedule thing, really easy to navigate. And let's get you set so that the next level of support is yours now. Nick, if there's anything you want to add on that, go ahead. We've got about 10 seconds to go for that.
The call is free there, JM. No cost for the call. No, I don't really have anything to add for that other than just do that. Like, why wouldn't you? To really take a good look at what's going on. One of the things that we stand for here, I'm going to go over my 10 seconds. I'm so sorry. one of the things that we stand for that's really important is in this AI world where like every other like place is about pawning you off on bots. We want to talk to you. We want to have actual connections and real relationships with people who come into our world. So this is one of our means to do that. Obviously, it's with real people, so time's limited. Those times will fill up, so you definitely want to grab a spot. But at the end of the day, this kind of human connection with somebody who really cares about you and what you want to achieve in your life, and can help you identify your best next steps. Gold.
Yeah. Amazing. Thank you. So with that, and we'll come back to it, but let's not lose that opportunity. It's so important. Jenna, would you come on up? And I know that, Jenna has worked, she's our client concierge. Nick, stay on if you would. She's our client concierge. And I just want Jenna to, she gets new members up and running. She checks on current members and she helps them navigate content, resources, show up to call, do all the things. She's a point coach. Tell us what you're seeing in our members right now in terms of some of the things we've talked about.
Right now, I'm noticing a lot of things coming up around accountability. We have a lot of ambitious people. They set great goals personally and professionally. And one of the most common things I see as soon as they get started, things start to accelerate. And then sometimes life gets in the way. So there's some challenges around following through. And I can't tell you how important this is for confidence, because like when you start breaking your word to yourself, confidence is the very first thing to go. But fortunately, these folks have access to personal support to be able to reprioritize their goals, reset their commitments to themselves. And it might seem like a simple thing, but this is important to keep positive momentum and preventing yourself from that shame spiral that we talked about, or just pushing so hard trying to catch up that you end up actually burning out. And I am just so proud of the way that our members are able to navigate this and show up for themselves.
Yeah, Jenna, thank you. She does a great job. And some of you are here in this call. You're also in our membership, and you know how amazing Jen is. So thank you. All right, I'm going to keep Nick here with me in case I start hacking again, but we are going to go through, I'm going to share my slide and go through what I call the 3 B's of natural authority. And as I'm doing that, if you haven't booked your implementation call, please do. Let your life redesign that operating system, up level your confidence, see the results. It's all cause and effect. So when we look at the 3 B's of natural authority, remember you're a complex human being, right? This is why we're always looking at ways to help solve things for you. It's not enough to work on your mindset. It's not enough to go for a run. It's not even enough to journal. It is a whole look at what I feel is important in terms of the brain, the body, and the beliefs. So let's look at the brain first. I love my little brain toy here, but your brain responds to your version of reality. All these there's just electricity flying out of your brain, and it's responding to your current version of reality. It's deciding who you will most likely be today, your identity, based on all the things you've done so far. It's not a truth machine. It's a prediction engine that falls in line behind what you're expecting. And that can be scary if you're always expecting the other shoe to drop, if you're always expecting to not have enough, if you're always expecting life is going to be hard. This is scary. So the brain is showing you the version of reality, the beliefs you hold to survive. And your brain and your subconscious will only let in thoughts, behaviors, and opportunities that have established the current version of you. All of the reality is inside your head. Everyone has been living inside the prediction that has been running their life. And so everything gets filtered through the brain, but the quantum truth is that you don't react to reality, you predict it. So you have to override the brain. You've got to rewire the operating system so that you can live in a place where, if you look at this, that amygdala that fires off because all of a sudden you don't feel safe, if it doesn't have an opportunity to go up the hierarchy and allow that prefrontal cortex to say, wait a minute, okay, that spider you're looking at that all of a sudden you're having a reaction to, it's in a cage, you're at the zoo. That's really easy. But when you're looking at building a business or going for a promotion or a new relationship, if you're not in charge of what's going on here in your ego, in your energy, you stop and you tell yourself a story and you don't go on. And then you have that reticular activation system, right? You've all heard of that, the RAS. You're buying a red car, all you see are red cars. But this is like the brain stem filtering incoming sensory information to regulate wakefulness and focus. It continues to act as confirmation bias. As a human, we seek information that confirms what we already believe. This is why so many people, I mean, I went deep into this morning in the ashram. I was like, if you're holding on to an old story, it's just for confirmation bias. But when you break that open, when you allow enough self-love, enough confidence, enough knowing who you are, you move through it. You'll focus on something higher. So your brain doesn't care if you have happiness or success. It just wants to keep predicting and getting it right. So you have to say to it, your new next prediction. Is this landing, everyone? So is it easy? It's easier than you think to override this, but you have to have a formula and a recipe, a system. It's not just, I'm going to go journal right now. It's not just, I'm going to go run. I'm not going to just dip in a cold tank. All of those things are great. You need the system. That's what we do inside Prosperity Code. And congratulations, those of you booking calls, Rebecca, Trish, Morning Flower, Judy, Lindsay, Jean, Vanya, Arlene, Deb, Olia, Johnny, amazing. Here's the thing, and we're going to help you see those three things, right? Where your confidence collapses, what all the areas affecting your life and what you need to do. Any of you here wanting to book a call, if you're interested in working with us, we're going to share what that's like, because it's deep, deep work and it's incredible. Brain, body. Your body makes decisions before the mind does. This is your mammalian brain. And I could do a full training on this, but I want you to see how two main things. This is for you to look at. Are you open or are you closed? Because your mammalian brain is also looking at people when you go into a room, in a meeting, in a party, at a restaurant. Are they open or are they closed? You're not consciously saying, ooh, that person's closed, but you look at them and you see them covering the main arteries of their neck, or their shoulders are high, or you're doing that. That is an ancient reaction to keep you safe. But there's no tiger around. What there's around is maybe change, or maybe something that you haven't healed. Is this landing? Everyone take a breath, lower your shoulders and breathe into your belly. And I'm going to give you some simple, there's so many body language hack trainings out there on YouTube. You don't need it. You just need three things. So here we go. Number one, for your confidence, move slowly. Move into a room slowly. Pause at the doorway. Look around. Number two, speak slowly. When you're speaking with someone, even if they're new, pause. Remember back to that reset. If you do get triggered, pause. Notice the shift. And you go right into Was that my identity, safety, or control? And then you go right into, I am safe, I know who I am control. And number 3, smile with your eyes. Why? When you smile with your eyes, it's called a Duchenne smile. There was a French scientist who studied body language, and when you get the real wrinkles in the eyes, it's a real smile. When you see people on social media smiling and you don't feel something, it's because it's not real. Let me give you some examples. Look at this guy. Whatever you think of politics, smile is real. He's open. He is relaxed. You feel what? Like he's completely in his natural authority and confidence. Can you see that? Look at these guys. You can see Nick here. These guys are just hanging out. Like Brandon's got hands in his pocket, but that's a baseline. He's not hiding. He's just like, hey, man, I'm here. The middle guy's just like, hey. Nick's there. Hey, everyone's fine. This is open. They're confident. Now, let's look at this picture. What do you see here? Look at the eyes. Is that a real smile? Look at this. Can you see the difference? Really incredible, right? Now, I want to talk about one of our clients, Judge Nicole. I just had a call with her last night. She was a lawyer. She is a lawyer, yoga teacher, energy healer, and was going for the bench. Before she really dove into the process, she'd walk into a room. You could see her shoulders up, tension, jaw, everything tight and closed. She's a defense attorney. There was a lot of protection. Now she's a judge and she walks into a room like open, confident, and she's handling big cases. But you can sense her own natural authority and belief by how she's walking into the room. Let me know if this is landing. And I'm going to go on into belief because belief is so, so big. It depends. It's more about the eyes than the teeth, Kristen, honestly speaking. It's really interesting. Some people just like, but you can see it here, right? So has anyone heard of the law of belief? And I'm just going to stop the share for a moment and I'll take this over. The law of belief, you might have heard, this is an ancient law. You are what you believe yourself to be, right? Everyone is creating a reality based upon what they believe about themselves. This is why the identity needs the upgrade. This is why this is the most important work you can do. So when your identity is stuck and it's hard, never works out for me, whatever, that's what you believe about yourself. So the science, listen up, the science around that is not just your brain is sending electrical impulses out that like a radio dial are attracting other frequencies back in, but your heart, which is 100 times more powerful in the electromagnetic attraction and energy it's sending out, is attracting back similar frequency. So your identity has been hardwired into your brain and belief system. Does this make sense? And I know, Nick, you and I could talk so much about things that we have believed and not believed, whether as performers or not performers. I mean, there's an amazing story about a high school student, small town in the Midwest. He did really, really well. He was like top of his class, AP courses. For some reason, he wasn't quite tuned into what the Scholastic Achievement Test was, but he sat for it and he got a 95. That's a really high score. But he didn't know that. He got the results back one day and he got a 95. He also got accepted to the university. He was very confused. He's like, my IQ's a 95? He thought it was an IQ. But he goes to university. Guess what happens? His whole belief metric went down. His belief system sank. He started failing classes. He struggled. By midterm, his counselor called him in. He's like, dude, what's going on? You were at the top of your classes. College is just like a notch above what you were doing. He's like, well, it's not my fault. I took the Scholastic Achievement Test and I was a 95. I'm below average. And the counselor's like, dude, you're at the top 95%. And he's like, oh. Now, so this is a true story. Of course, he turned it around. At the end of his 4 years, he was at the top of 30,000 people through university systems, right? He changed it because he changed his belief, but he took it on falsely. So my question to you is, how often are you taking on something that is not yours? That you're like, wait a minute here. I've been believing this and it's so deeply embedded. Nick, I want us to talk a bit about Melanie here. If you don't mind, I mean, you know Melanie, and Melanie's worked with us for years now, but even after 1 year of going through the system, she was able to triple her income. And you can see the change in how she believes about herself and her clients that she serves.
Yeah. I mean, what an amazing person. And, you know, like so many, Melanie's been around for years now. She's one of those sorts of people who will just always do the work, you know, and she'll always be working on herself. And at the end of the day, she's just trying to do that in the most efficient way possible. And she just has been around us for I don't know how many years now, more than I can remember, right off the top of my head. So the thing about the identity, right, is where she was and where she's not that much, you know, she's a very, very intelligent woman. It's not like she suddenly got a big download of information and she was like super smart. But how she starts to see herself, the opportunities that she would go for, and the things that she would allow herself to take a chance and have some trust in herself on, that is what expanded. And her income and revenue came along with that in really rapid ways. So she's doing her second TED Talk now. She travels, she speaks at real estate events all the time. So she's got a client list, honestly, that other coaches would just die for. It's a great list of people that she works with, super cool people. And she's really, really effective at it. So I just love seeing that. And that's one of the things I love most about this, is just having awesome people like this around in our community that we can all, you know, share space with, share ideas with. JM here posted up above, your thoughts create your reality. Well, yes. And that's a shorthand way of saying it. What really happens is your thoughts create your beliefs about who you are, and your beliefs about what the world is and how you fit in that. And that is what creates your reality. Very, very important, because your thoughts create your reality. What that says is just, well, if I just think the good thoughts, then good things will happen. But we all know that doesn't work that great. Right. And sure, we can go back in our memory and we can look at all the times that we fell short and everything like that. But that's not the whole story by a long shot. The real understanding of that is how your thoughts create your identity and your beliefs about what the world is and how you fit in it. And that is what shapes your reality. It's a convergence of those things coming together that creates it, which is why this isn't a one-dimensional training. You know, we don't do one-dimensional work. We work on the whole human being and the whole system to make sure that it's all coming together.
100%. Perfectly said. All right. So speaking of that, of it's not just thoughts, I do want to take a little bit of let's just little diagnosis here. So, prosperity for me is a very spiritual word. It does mean wealth. It means your abundant consciousness. It means, are you able to increase money, add a zero to your income? Are you able to go for the promotion, new job? But it also means your energy, right? If your energy is weak and scarce and you don't have resilient energy, you're not really prosperous. It means your love. It means your time. So everyone, do us a favor and just look at this wealth, energy, love, time. 4 areas of prosperity. And on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being the weakest, 10 being the strongest. And I doubt any of us are 10s, because if we are, we're probably delusional. Like there's always another level to go. Where are you on each of these? Just like go through it. Are they the same? Is wealth a 9 and energy is a 2 because you don't have good energy and you're working too hard to make the money? Like just go through and share in the text chat. Wealth, energy, love, time. 1 to 10, 1 being weak, 10 being the ultimate. I'd love to get some feedback, and you're also going to see you're not alone here. Need help with energy. It's a great place to look at, JM, because if your energy, what I found as if we talk about identity shifting, result shifting, you change your identity, you change your results. You cannot change your identity without an upgrade in energy. That's why we do metaphysical energy clearings every month. That's why in our Prosperity Co-coaching method, there's a whole bank called Meditation Nation. I have clients texting me in the middle of the night, hey, I can't sleep. I just did the solar plexus clearing. I'm going back to bed. Like access to something at any point in time. Anyone else, where are you? What about love in your relationships? Love of yourself. This is really important to look at because, again, don't let your ego threat triangle get triggered here. Be lovingly honest. Maybe I need to master time. If you feel like you don't have enough time, that's another form of scarcity. Lindsay, good work. Wealth 8, energy 7, recovering from flu. I feel you, honey. I know a bit about that. Love 9, time 6. Ooh, so I'd love to dial into time for you because time is like one of those freedom quotients, right? Really good. Let's get a few others. Don't be afraid to share. Xander, wealth 7, energy 4, love 7, time 5. And we got some time people in energy. Nick, don't you feel like time and energy kind of go hand in hand?
Yeah, they do. And the reason for it is because it's not always, but oftentimes it's time that's that becomes the real problem, or the instigating problem, I should say. Mm-hmm. And what that does is create this massive amount of pressure for people that they put on themselves. They wind up just really not honoring what's going on with themselves. And over time, they run that deficit. And so their energy then takes the hit with it. So that time pressure of like, oh, I never have enough. I'm always going to run out of time. And then their energy kind of follows suit with that, with all the constriction and depletes over time.
Yeah, great share. And I love that, if your wealth is at a 7, you've got money to invest, you're growing, everything's great. And Afsana, when you say wealth is the lowest, do the numbers. Because this, Afsana, she understands this. If she's always going to wealth is the lowest, what neural groove is she building in her brain? This is why we want you to look at everything. So you can start to see, oh, I thought it was wealth, but you know what? When I really sit with it, I'm not managing my time or maybe my energy. And then when you look at the others, you're able to help wealth go up. So we can't just drop to, oh, this one's bad for me. Don't do that. Everyone go through this circle and be able to look at each one because it's super important. Does that make sense? They support one another. It's really easy to get caught up. Oh yeah, this one's not good. Oh, there's so much more to work with. All right, amazing. So Let's go. I'm going to flash this one more time because I think we have some space for a few more calls. And if we don't, we will open them up if we can, right? So it is limited. If you want to grab a call and you haven't, go for it. Scan the code, click on the link. Let's get you scheduled so that we can look at what is the confidence and natural authority issue. Where is it affecting you? What are the steps to get you to a higher level? Really important that you're able to look at this clearly, succinctly, and without any, we are all about, let's just move forward. There's no guilt, shame around this. It's like, wow, what's your future self want? Really important. All right, everyone, I'm just going to give about 5 seconds to make sure everyone that wants to get their call can click on that link, book. And again, I'm not trying to rush you. I'm trying to get you to avoid your brain going, oh, I'll do it later. And then the dog poops, the kids are running around, or maybe you decide to watch the Olympics and you're like, oh, I feel really good. That hockey game was amazing. Don't do it to yourself.
Can you bring up you showed the trifecta, where confidence fits in the grand scheme of things of this. Could you bring that graphic up one more time? I want to talk about that really briefly.
The triangle?
No, not the triangle. It was much earlier. It is.
I'm not sure.
Oh, it is slide number 10.
Oh, look at Nick knowing our slides. Oh, yeah. Cool.
Yeah. So, because I just wanted to kind of come back to this really quickly because we did a deep dive on confidence in a lot of different ways. And it's like, I want to show you how this all fits in with the prosperity part, right? Confidence is one of the key pieces. And it connects with your vision. So you can see that if you don't have, you can create all the vision that you want, but if you don't have the confidence to step into it, well, it's just a wish, right? You can really work to upgrade your identity as best as you're able. But if your confidence keeps getting crushed when things don't go your way, well, you're just going to sink, you're just going to stagnate and you're going to sink lower and lower and lower. So you see here what Kisma covered with the mind, the body, and the belief and the confidence. Well, there's fully built out trainings and sections around all of these other aspects to bring it all together. And the number one thing that we really look at here is self-mastery. And that's not like, self-control or some kind of ascetic principle or something like that. What we're talking about here is the mastery and authority over yourself to step in how you want to in your life for the people that you love, for the work that really means a lot to you, right? That gives your life meaning and purpose, to step into that with that kind of confidence and authority and to live your life from that space. That is what really creates the prosperity in every area of your life. That sense of fulfillment, great income to come along with it, surrounded by awesome people doing really cool things in the world that light you up. That is what we're really here to do. And that's what the prosperity code is all about. Thanks for bringing that up, Kisma.
Yeah, I love it. Great share. Hey, would you guys like to go through the confidence frame? Let's walk through it because I think this is a great way, but I'm going to have you just breathe and stretch, reach, shake it off a little bit. There's a lot of information. I love that some of you are taking notes. Yes, there'll be a replay up for a couple days, but let's walk through the confidence frame because this really changed a lot for me and it was very meaningful. So you carry a frame of energy. Now listen up. Energy hits first. Energy never lies. So think about, you have 4 corners powerfully tuned in. You will have a new identity. You'll have a new reality. But if you're carrying these 4 corners, which if I dial them in, I'll show you that one is perception. Nick, maybe you can turn your video off for a little bit so they can see that bottom corner. One corner is perception. So how do you perceive things? Let me give you a scenario. You're like, hey man, I'm going to walk into this restaurant and meet a potential client or my boss or maybe a new lover. And you're carrying this frame and you have a perception. How do I perceive myself? How do I perceive even the environment I'm walking into? How do I perceive it's going to go? This is a big thing. Remember, listen, write this down. Life is a series of experiences. The quality of your life is determined by the quality of your experiences. Your experiences are determined by your perception of each experience. How you see others, how you see the world is really how you quietly see yourself. So your perception, the other corner is your belief, right? We just got done talking about beliefs. What do you believe about yourself? Like, I'm going to do the best I can do. I'm happy to walk into this restaurant. I'm happy to meet someone. That determines your expectation. This is going to go well. It's going to be fine. Think about, like, I had to kind of reset. I'm getting over the flu and I know I could start hacking anytime, but I'm like, hey man, I'm just going to believe this, like, team's got my back. Nick is here. This is going to be fun. My expectations, this is still going to be a really fun immersion to teach because I love talking about this and y'all are amazing. So the bottom corner is the definition of how it all plays out. So take a moment. Think about different scenarios in your life. If your belief corner is being crunched on or someone's taking a bite out of it, or if your expectation corner is shrinking because you're so tied into stories about how your life is going to go, the definition of your reality is going to sink. The definition of that situation is going to be lower. So take a moment, 1 to 5, 1 being weak, 5 being the strongest. Where are you? Where's your perception of yourself in life? Where's your belief? Is it a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? What are you expecting? Is it going to work out? Is it not? And then the definition of who you are and how you show up. This is where the magic happens. When you stop trying to hold the frame and fake the frame holds itself, and people notice your unshakable confidence and composure, and they step into your frame. Three, okay, morning flower. Let's get that up. Let's dial it up. A 3 is, it's nice. Who doesn't want to have a 5? Who else? Let's get some more shares. You guys are amazing the way you're playing out. It's unusual to find a group of people who are willing to interact, learn, grow, take the action, and have a better life. So well done, everybody here. It can be perception of self, I would say, like your own perception of self. How are you feeling about yourself? Your life. What's your belief about yourself in your life, your expectations, and the definition. Good share, Xander. So you can see, like, his perception, he's starting with the perception, but something is shaving away at his own belief, and that lowers the expectation, the definition. It's a really good, honest share. Nick, you have anything to add to this?
No, other than kind of to Lindsay's question is you can look at it in some different perspectives. If you were to look at your confidence with respect to a particular goal that you have, well, do you actually expect it to happen? Or is it less like, oh, that'd be really cool? Do you believe, what do you believe about that goal? Why is it important to you? What's it going to mean to your life? Those kinds of things. You can look at it in some different ways.
Yeah, I love that. And Kristen, perception of self changing at 68. I get it. But look, for me, when I hit 60s, I was like, I better make every single day count. Like every moment counts. And this is an exciting time to do even deeper work and more growth on myself. I had a woman out here doing an Avery who was 68. She's like, I want the rest of my life to be in peace. Like, it's phenomenal. It's a phenomenal time.
Yeah. And when I look at a lot of these numbers, I just love the sense of honesty. That's something, again, that was just so important in Illumination Academy. We call it radical responsibility. You know, is really taking radical responsibility for what's going on inside of you and how you're acting in the world. Well, you being able to articulate that here and willing to articulate that is really powerful. What I will say is a little bit of a hint behind this is that the difference between a 4 and a 5 is life changing.
Yes.
Think about if you on a scale of 1 to 10, right? If you're going to go, how committed you are to a goal, and think about all the wiggle room that you have if you're hanging out at an 8 or a 9. Game changing. But if you're a 10, you will do whatever it takes to achieve that, right? You'll set aside your own preferences, your own resistance. You'll work through all those things in order to become the person that you need to be in order to have that goal. A person at an 8 or a 9 isn't going to do that. They're going to chase their tails and work it around it in a bunch of different ways. But a person who's at a 10 will absolutely do that. Well, it's the same difference here between a 4 and a 5. You're muted, Kisma.
Trying to say something wise, everyone. But I think this is why we have so many people that hang around us for years in the ashram or prosperity code, because it's like they'll reach a summit, and it's when, so many people will like do this, whatever, personal development, or they'll do like a free training. They'll be like, oh, I feel great. But it's at this point, when you stay in there, when you stretch yourself, when you're comfortable being uncomfortable, that next 1% is astronomical. It amplifies everything. And that is really important. So thank you for sharing. I want to do this, and I'm going to take you through just an imagination process here. The most composed person in the room wins. So imagine you're at an event, you're at a restaurant, something that maybe you've been dreading, but you find a way to make yourself visible to a few. But this time is different. This time you're more present, you're more self-aware. And this time you walk in slowly, confidently, and actually connect with people that are meaningful. In fact, imagine again that you sit down to enjoy some space, and you don't have that loud confidence posturing, but you know who you are. And other people start coming over to your table. And this isn't because of your shoes, your dress, your bag, although it might be nice, or your suit. It's because you exude the energy of composure. People are seeking certainty, and you cannot put a price tag on making someone feel seen and heard and showing and exuding this natural authority and confidence. So here's the breakdown of your frame strength. B times P times E divided by N. The depth of your belief in yourself times the ability to change perception, rapid perception change, times what you actually expect to happen divided by neediness. What's the neediness factor? It's how much validation, approval, agreement you unconsciously seek. So when you have that natural authority, you're like, it's fine. I'm just being me. People are drawn to you and you feel so good about yourself. This is very much like Jen. Jen is, I think, on stage in Chicago right now. She's worked with us for years. She's a speaker, author, coach. She's done a TEDx, has a best-selling book. She did this work. She left corporate and now is creating her own life that she loves. It all starts within everyone. So I want to share that, just a really quick subconscious reset. Is that okay? Are you guys cool? If you can hang on, great. If you can't, that's okay. But I'm going to walk you through this. Well, you do this work, Janine. You do the inner work. So let's start with this. I want you to close your eyes for just a moment. And I want you to imagine waking up tomorrow morning with absolute certainty that everything in your life is going to work out perfectly. Not because you have all the answers, not because you can see the future, but because you made a fundamental decision about how you are going to show up in the world. Your perception dial turned up. Your belief about yourself is up. Your own personal law of expectation is up, and the definition of who you are is high. And you have decided to act as if everything's going to work out for you. And what I know to be true is when you make that decision, when you embody that energy, when you step into that version, when you take action, when you even invest in your own growth, millions of people who are living in fear begin to see and shift where you now are able to go to the center. Because you can choose to be one of those millions that are in despair or fear, or you can choose to be in the 1% who decide, I'm done with being in paralysis. I'm done with fight, flight, or freeze. I am here to live and create a life I love. I deserve it. So as you're here listening to this, it tells me that you are different. You're ready for something different, ready to step into a new way of being, right? You be different than you do and you have differently. You don't wait for the future to change. You create the future. And I've spent years studying metaphysical energy, human behavior, universal laws, how our minds work, how energy creates a pattern and vibration, and how we carry it determines the experiences we attract. And what I have discovered will revolutionize the way you think about your problems and challenges and your entire approach to living. You know, the most successful people are the ones that do that inner work. And it's amazing when you see that group of people who just understand, they dive into work with the universal laws. They dive into clear the energy to advance their mindset, and their reality changes dramatically. And that is a world that everyone can live in who chooses it. So everyone take a breath, and I want you to choose one thing that you're willing to work on. Is it peace? Is it love? Is it money? Is it time? Whatever it is. And I want you to say to yourself softly, I deserve to have a life I love. I deserve this. I'm a magnificent being created by the same magnificent force as the entire universe. I deserve this. And breathe that in for a moment. Let the gravity hang, because it is a truth that not many people will ever accept. And I want you to accept it now. All right, everyone. Let's close it on out by giving yourself a round of applause for being amazing, for living life in the best way, And I want to share this one last thing. All is mind. The universe is mental, as above, so below. Grab the teachings, dive in. If you want our help, we are here for you. Book your call. We're willing to advance humanity with every breath in every person. And if you'd like to be a part of that, we would love to help you. All right, you're amazing. Thank you for being here. Shout out, Nick, show your face again so everyone can give you a round of applause. Shout out to Jenna and Zach and Lorena, the team. You're amazing, and we'll see you soon. Big hugs.